Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes all it takes is a single handshake to change the world. And today, we're talking about one that could literally redraw the map of Africa, spark a whole new conflict in the Red Sea, and, get this, even force us to rethink what a country even is.
All right, so let's get right into it. Picture this. It's December 26, 2025. Out of nowhere, a diplomatic bombshell just drops on the Horn of Africa. Seriously, this one decision completely upended decades of international policy and basically lit a match in a region that was, let's be honest, already a tinderbox.
And the reaction? Whoa, it was swift and it was harsh. The African Union immediately came out and called it a dangerous precedent. And when they say that, you know this is a big deal, not just for the region, but for the entire continent. So what on earth happened? What was this decision that got everyone so fired up?
Well, it all boils down to one thing. A historic, and I mean historic, act of recognition.
And look, this wasn't just some symbolic handshake, okay? This was Israel establishing full diplomatic relations. For Somaliland, this was everything. It was the legitimacy they had been fighting for over 30 years. But for everyone else, well, for the international community, it was a huge problem. It flew right in the face of the idea that Somalia is one single country. And for Israel, honestly, it was a brilliant strategic move. They secured a key ally right on the critical Bab el-Mandeb Strait, pushed back against their rivals, and forged a brand new partnership in Africa, a real game changer.
So you might be thinking, wow, this came out of the blue. But actually, it didn't. This moment was decades in the making. It's really the climax of a long, complicated history and one very clever deal that paved the way for this whole thing.
Okay, first things first, let's get our geography straight because this is super important. Somaliland is not Somalia. It used to be British Somaliland. Back in 1960, it was independent for like 5 whole days before it decided to join up with Italian Somaliland to create the modern country of Somalia. But then, fast forward to 1991, the government collapses, civil war breaks out, and Somaliland says, you know what, we're out. They declared independence, basically arguing that the union they voluntarily joined was now over. And this timeline, it really tells the story of a long, patient struggle, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking about a 30-year journey. From declaring independence way back in '91 to holding actual democratic elections, Somaliland was slowly but surely building a country from the ground up. But the real spark, the thing that changed everything, that was the deal they struck with Ethiopia in January 2024. That's what really got the ball rolling for Israel's big move.
And this, right here, this is the heart of Somaliland's whole argument. It's a tale of two completely different places. On one side, you've got Somaliland, with its history of peaceful elections and, relative stability. And on the other, you've got Somalia, which has been tangled up in civil war and insurgency for decades. So for the people in Somaliland, this isn't just a political disagreement. It's their entire case for why they deserve to be their own country.
Okay, so let's talk about that deal from early 2024, because it was the catalyst for everything. Think about it. You've got landlocked Ethiopia, a massive country with over 120 million people, desperate for access to the sea. Then you have Somaliland, desperate for international recognition. The deal was, well, it was simple but incredibly explosive. A 50-year lease on a port for Ethiopia in exchange for being the first nation to recognize Somaliland. It was like putting all the chess pieces in place for the final move. So when Israel finally recognized Somaliland, it was like they gave the Ethiopia deal the ultimate green light. What had just been a controversial piece of paper, a memorandum of understanding, suddenly became a cold, hard geopolitical fact. And that's when the diplomatic firestorm really erupted.
And Somalia's reaction? Well, as you can imagine, they were absolutely furious. From their perspective in Mogadishu, Somaliland is just a part of their country, period. So they didn't see this as Israel recognizing a new nation. They saw it as an attack on their own sovereignty.
And things escalated really, really fast. The Houthi movement in Yemen, who are already causing all sorts of chaos in the Red Sea, they jumped right in. They immediately announced that any Israeli presence in Somaliland would be considered a military target. Just like that, the potential conflict zone got a whole lot bigger, stretching right up to this incredibly important coastline.
Then you have to factor in Egypt. For Cairo, this is not really about Somaliland at all. It's about Ethiopia. These two giants are already in a massive standoff over the huge dam Ethiopia built on the Nile, which Egypt believes is a threat to its very survival. So the idea of an Ethiopian naval base on the Red Sea, made possible by Israel of all countries, to them, that looks like their biggest rival trying to box them in. But this whole thing is way bigger than just the region. So let's pull back the camera a bit and take a look at how the international community is handling all this. And what you see here pretty clearly is that officially almost everyone is against this.
You've got the African Union, and they're terrified this will set a precedent and cause other separatist movements to flare up. The Arab League, well, they're backing their member Somalia, no surprise there. And then you have the big Western powers like the EU and the US, who are holding firm to the One Somalia policy. For them, it seems like stability, even a fragile one, is better than redrawing maps.
But here's where it gets really interesting, especially in Washington. The official U.S. policy might be one thing, but it's getting a lot of pushback from inside the government. The State Department is sticking to the One Somalia script, but a growing number of people in Congress are saying, hold on a minute. They're looking at Somaliland's democracy and its prime real estate on the Red Sea and thinking, hey, maybe these guys are a better bet than the government in Mogadishu.
And this isn't just some abstract political fight. It has very real, life-or-death consequences. Right now, both Somalia and Somaliland are claiming they control the airspace. Pilots are actually getting conflicting instructions from what they're calling fake controllers on the same frequency. Let that sink in. This isn't just a diplomatic squabble, it's creating a scary, high-risk situation where a mid-air collision is a very real possibility right over a major flight path.
So after all this massive geopolitical gamble, where does it leave the Horn of Africa? Okay, so what happens next? It really seems like we're looking at three possible futures here. Scenario 1, the domino effect. Other countries see what Israel did and follow suit, finally making Somaliland a recognized state. That's a huge win for them. Scenario 2, diplomatic lockdown. The rest of the world pushes back hard, isolating Israel and basically sending Somaliland back to square one. Or there's scenario 3. This crisis actually becomes a catalyst for peace, forcing Somaliland and Somalia to finally sit down and figure out a way forward together.
And that really leaves us with the one big question, doesn't it? Are we witnessing the birth of a brand new, stable country in one of the most unstable parts of the world? Or are we watching the opening act of a new conflict that could throw a critical global trade route into chaos? Honestly, the stakes just couldn't be higher. And whatever the answer is, it's going to shape the Horn of Africa for a long, long time. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.